Happy winter solstice, everybody. Welcome to our yin, restorative, gentle movement yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. So for this practice, grab a couple of yoga blocks, pillows, blankets, a strap, just anything that you have around that you might be using to help support your body to be more comfortable. But I'd like to begin to help us arrive from whatever you were doing. Come on up to stand, please. And as you may already know, one way to get energy moving through, if anything feels kind of stuck in the body, stuck in the mind, is to either shake, to just move, to make some sound, vocalize, and just get into your body and out of the mind. So let's begin with that. Taking 1 minute, I'm going to set the timer for a laughing meditation or laughing yoga. So all you need to do is laugh. So here we go. We're going to start for 1 minute and you just fake it till you make it. And that's 1 minute. And if even you didn't get a chance to laugh, let's come on into a wide stance so your feet are wider than your hips distance apart, generously wider. Make sure that your feet are parallel. Bend your knees a lot here as you start to lean the torso forward, especially if you've got any kind of stuckness happening in the lower back or the back of your body. Bend your knees as much as you need. And you may even want to place your hands on a chair in front of you or blocks. Otherwise, let your torso hang. Some options are to catch hold of opposite elbows and begin to sway the spine. Maybe softly shake your head out, nod your head, loosen up the neck, shimmy out the shoulders. Any kind of movement here, again, to let energy flow through. Notice the way that your body is breathing now. So we start a little bit of that so-called laughing yoga. So remember to see the bigger picture, all the stuff that we go through in the year that we'll be reflecting about here. Can we bring a sense of lightheartedness, even though we're reflecting and setting intentions? And take a deep breath where you are. Let any sound out to your mouth. Let it go. Ha. Take a few more like that, inhaling. Whatever feels releasing for you. Maybe let the arms go. Maybe shake out the torso. Take a few more audible exhales. Get as loud as you're able to in the space that you're practicing in. You can even roar it out. Ha! Stick out the tongue, lion's breath. And then start to make your way as you keep your head low to the ground. Bend your knees and crawl your way into child's pose, please, where you bring the inner edges of your feet to touch towards the back of your mat. And then you can either have your knees together or separate them as wide apart as it's most comfortable for you. And then let your forehead rest either on the ground or on a pillow or a block, whatever's, again, most comfortable. Arms can be reaching forward. Arms can be down by your sides. And then allow a moment to literally ground here. So feel the ground cradling your physical body, supporting you. Tune into the way you're breathing naturally now. Feel into your energetic state. Sense the energy of your mind? Are the thoughts rushing quickly? Is there some space in the mind? What is your attention drawn to? And then notice what feels alive in your heart right now. Tune into your emotional state. Really meeting yourself where you are in these various layers of self as you begin this practice of connecting outer being with inner being, mind, body, spirit, breath, each other as a community. Yoga means union, uniting. And then let's start to even out the breath in through the nose a little more fully. Feel the rib cage expand. Whisper the breath slowly out through the lips like you're blowing a candle all the way to empty. And then let your breath be softly audible as you start to stretch it a little bit longer in and a little bit longer out, finding an even flow to your breath as you crawl your hands to the floor beside your knees. Drop your chin towards your chest. And on your next inhale, slowly roll your spine upright into a comfortable seat of your choice. You could sit propped up on a folded blanket, on a pillow, on the ground, on a chair, whatever allows you to meet your body where it's feeling right now or how it's feeling right now. And so I want to share a little bit about the winter solstice in an Ayurveda blog written by Claire Ragozini. In winter, the earth sleeps in stillness. As the sun slips into the most southern point, there is a momentary pause, a suspension between the solar inhalation and exhalation. There is a clear turning point in all cycles, an opportunity to embrace the ephemeral state between fullness and emptiness. Solstice is this time, the time to honor all that we have cultivated in this past year, integrate the lessons learned, recalibrate, and look to where space can be created in our lives in the year ahead. Winter solstice brings an opportunity for a sacred pause. We've been talking much about that in our past several classes of yoga. Sacred pause in our lives to welcome stillness and inward reflection. The mind needs solitude in order to digest life's experiences. Solstice can be a powerful time to pause and create an intentional timeout for yourself, a time to take solace in the quietude of the season, turning inward to deeply rest, reflect, and recharge. So notice now as you set your hands on your lap, maybe palms face down, if you're welcoming more of a feeling of grounding, palms face up. If you're looking to feel more energized in this practice, and maybe bring the thumb and first fingers to touch, a way of helping to focus. Ground to your left and your right sitting bones as you press into the surface below. Feel a rebounding lift of energy up your torso. Lifting from the bottom of your spine, trace your awareness up each vertebra to the top of your head. And then allow your shoulder bones to soften slightly behind your ears, moving down your back. Maybe the eyes are closed here. Here's some seeds of thought just to begin planting, at least in the subconscious mind, for reflection today. What were my biggest personal achievements or celebrations of this year? What were my biggest personal achievements or celebrations of this year? Second, what were some of the challenging lessons I faced? What were some of the challenging lessons I faced? Third, what have I learned? And how have I integrated these lessons into my life? How have I integrated them? And lastly, or excuse me, second to last, what habits are no longer serving me? What am I ready to let go of? What am I ready to let go of? And lastly, what can I do to care for myself this winter season? And maybe in the year ahead, what can I do to care for myself? As you're doing now, let's join the palms to meet at the heart. We'll continue to let energy move through by vocalization, chanting the sound of Om, that primitive sound in all of life, us, life around us, remembering our interconnectedness. So chanting it 3 times, feel that resonance ripple into the cells of your body as you send it out. Empty this breath. Take a deep inhale. Bowing in towards your inner compass, your light of inner teacher. And then bring your hands down to your stomach here. Visualize your torso as though it were a jar. So the very bottom of that jar is your pelvic floor, bottom of your spine. And the very top of that jar is to your neck and shoulders, your throat. And we'll divide that jar into 3 cross sections, preparing to start a breathing technique for grounding. The bottom cross section, 1/3, is at your lower abdomen, all the way around to your lower back. So let's breathe into that area. Imagine it. Inhaling, filling up the low abdomen, low back, even the sides of the torso there. And then exhale slowly. Feel the belly soften in. Keep sitting up tall. And then now the second, or the middle part of the torso, is where most of your rib cage lands. The side ribs, you might even place your hands on the left and right walls of your rib cage. Now let's focus on breathing into that area. Take a slow inhale. Feel the intercostal muscles between your ribs stretch. Hold your breath for a moment, and then gently empty the breath and feel the difference. Hold the breath at the bottom, and then let it go. Now the uppermost part of your torso is the chest, the tops of the lungs, the armpits, the shoulder blades, the neck and shoulders and throat. So maybe place your hands at your chest here, top of it. Let's focus on this area, inhaling. Keep the shoulders relaxed as you hold the breath in. And then slowly empty your breath. Feel the difference as you pause at the bottom of the breath. And then relax again. So now we've designated those 3 cross sections: the lowest part of the torso, the mid part, and the uppermost. This is the practice of 3-part breathing, Durga Pranayama in Sanskrit. You may want to place the left hand at your chest to designate the top part, and your right hand at your lower abdomen to designate the bottom part. So we'll inhale 1/3 into the bottom part of the torso. We'll pause. Then we'll inhale another third into the midsection of the torso, then pause. Then we'll inhale the last third at the top of the torso. We'll hold the breath in, observe. Then we'll exhale everything slowly out and hold the breath out and observe. So that's one cycle. Let's take 3 cycles together and then 2 cycles on your own. So sit up tall, relaxed, maybe close the eyes and visualize where you're breathing. Empty this breath, so we're just breathing through the nose. Hold the breath out into the lowest part of your torso. Inhale 1/3. Pause into your mid-torso. Inhale 1/3. Pause into the uppermost part. Inhale 1/3. As you hold the breath, observe whatever you feel here. Then slowly empty all of the breath. Hold it at the bottom. Notice whatever you notice. Round 2, inhale 1/3, lowest part. Pause. Inhale mid-torso. Pause. Inhale uppermost of the torso. Hold it in. And slowly exhale. Hold it out. Last one together. Inhale lowest part. Pause. Inhale mid part. Pause. Inhale uppermost. Hold the breath in. And slowly empty it. Hold the breath out. Now I invite you to try 2 more cycles on your own. 3-part breathing. Going at your own pace without rushing. When you finish that 2nd cycle on your own of holding the breath out, notice how you feel. Notice the effects of that pranayama or breathing technique. And now as we ease into what's called Ujjayi pranayama, another breathing technique that helps to regulate your nervous system. Continue to breathe slowly through all 3 parts of the torso without pausing, without holding the breath. Transition into exhaling just as slowly as you inhale. And all the while as you're breathing with the mouth closed, by softly narrowing the back of your throat, invite a gentle whispering sound that helps you to regulate your breathing, and it gives your mind something to focus on that's constantly happening in the present moment. So anytime your attention may wander, it can come back to the sound of your breath, rebalancing in and out. See if you can keep that even pace of breath going. And if you're sitting cross-legged, let's switch the cross of your legs, and we'll start with some gentle movements before we hold some postures in stillness. So press your hands onto your lap, plug the sitting bones downward, lift up through the crown of your head, open the chest, and then begin to circle your torso to one side as you inhale, leaning forward. Exhale your torso to the other side, leaning back. And that's it. Several more Sufi rolls, the circling of the torso. You might imagine that there's a hula hoop hovering around the mid height of your rib cage, and you're trying to trace the inner circumference of that hula hoop with your ribs. And then go in the opposite direction. Listen to your breath. So with this movement, warming up our spine, warming up our pelvic region. And then again, go in the opposite direction. A few more breaths. And then coming back to center, sitting tall again. Let's give the shoulders some rotations. Inhale them forward and up. Exhale them behind you and down. Inhale, shoulders forward and up. Exhale, back and down. Keep going. Synchronizing the pace of your breathing with the pace of your moving. And then let's switch directions. Inhale the shoulders forward and down. Exhale them back and up. Deep breaths. Can you feel all three parts of your torso filling up with your breath? And then let the shoulders relax. Now lift up through the crown of your head like there's a string threading from the crown all the way down each vertebra. And then drop your chin towards your sternum at the middle of your chest. Inhale, roll your left ear towards your left shoulder, then look up. Exhale your right ear towards your right shoulder, then look down. Inhale, half the circle, or even slower. Take a pace that works for you. And if there's any part of your neck that's feeling creaky, you might even pause there for a moment and just breathe. Switch directions when you're ready. A few more head rolls.
Om Shanti Om, Om Shanti Om, Om Shanti Om, Om Shanti Om.
So the mantra you're hearing right now in the background, that's Deva Premal, and she's singing Om Shanti. Shanti is Sanskrit for peace. It's an invocation for peace. And then relax. Let's start to make our way down onto all fours, your hands and knees. If your knees needs cushion, as you're in this tabletop pose, you can unfold your blanket and make it the thickness that you need to be able to stand on with your knees. Then come on down, set your wrists right underneath your shoulders, set your knees a couple inches behind your hips, spread the fingers flat. Starting extending and flexing the spine in cat-cow. Listen to your breath. And as you inhale, glide your chest forward, coil it up, drop the shoulders down as you look up, cow pose. Slowly as you exhale, scoop the belly in, drop your head and dome your back. Cat pose. Again, inhale, chest forward. Glide the shoulder blades down as you look up, cow pose. Exhale, contract the belly, dropping your head, round your back, cat pose. Keep going. Another 5 or so cycles of breath. Feel the movement of your pelvis, tilting forward as you're looking up, tilting back as you're looking down. Feel the movement of your shoulder blades coming together as you're looking up, spreading apart as you're looking down. And then relax to a neutral spine here. Let's start to glide forward, bending your elbows back so they graze your ribs. Lower your chin to the floor and slither your chest, belly, and legs all the way to the ground, coming into Sphinx pose. Slide your elbows forward so they land just beneath your shoulders, lifting your chest off the floor. See your forearms on the ground parallel to each other in front of you. And then scoot your knees as close together as they can be. To help lengthen your lower back, actively stretch your big toes towards the rear edge of your mat. Then fan out your toes and root every toenail into the ground. Really feel that sense of grounding to your legs and feet. Knees are actually lifted off the mat because the big toes are reaching far back. Let your pubic bone press into the earth. And then without moving your hands, draw your shoulder bones further back, releasing them towards behind your ears, and then press your shoulder heads down as you breathe a smile across your collarbone. So letting the collarbone spread a little wider from shoulder to shoulder. Look slightly down and lengthen the back of your neck. And let's take another 3 full breaths across the chest here in Sphinx pose, a gentle back bend. Notice if the elbows are too far back, if they're behind the shoulders, there's inhibited back bending. So the chest is not able to lift as high. So make sure the elbows here are right under your shoulders. And then on an exhale, lower your forehead to the ground. Crawl your fingertips to the outsides of your mat in line with your shoulders. Come up high onto your fingertips, and we're going to open up the shoulders just through movement. Inhale, peel the shoulder blades down your back and float your chest lightly off the ground. Look forward. Exhale, rotate your right shoulder behind you and look behind it. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, rotate the left shoulder behind you and look behind it. Inhale to center. And then you can continue this on each side, breathing out as you look back. So you're also warming up your neck with some movement. Feel how the shoulder blades are sort of waxing on, waxing off like Karate Kid style onto your back ribs. And you can add your own movement here. Maybe you want to trace an infinity symbol in the air with the tip of your nose. Maybe you just want to shimmy out the shoulders to your breath. Again, just letting energy move through the area of your neck and shoulders, a common area to tense, especially as the weather gets cold and we're trying to bundle up this first day of winter. And then from here, please place your right ear all the way down to the floor. We'll move into our first held yin posture, which we'll be in for 3 minutes before we switch sides. So right ear to the floor. You may want to have a pillow or block just to the right side of your head. Slide your right arm straight out to the right with a palm face down on the floor, palm in line with your right shoulder. Place your left hand on the ground just beside your left shoulder and begin to press the ground away with your left hand, slowly rolling over onto your right hip so that your head actually lands on that pillow, if you're using one, or that block, the right side of your head that is. And then take a moment to slide your right shoulder blade further down your back rib. Create some space along the right side of your neck. And I've already set the timer here for 3 minutes. Deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale just as slowly through the nose. Now, the more you lean back and maybe even step the left foot on the ground off the mat behind you, notice the sensations might intensify. So just find the amount of sensation that you're ready for in each moment, and that might change within these 3 minutes. You can back off by leaning more forward so the belly is closer to the ground. So remember, yoga is much about you honoring what's present for you in your body, energetically. Know that for every posture, every movement, there are so many variations, and it's really up to you to use your discretion and see what's appropriate for you right now. Notice if you can hear your body breathing here as you practice Ujjayi Pranayama. In such a fast-paced city as Los Angeles that most of us are in right now, what is your reaction to slowing down, to going against that cultural grain? How does your mind respond to your body being still? No judgment, simply cultivating self-awareness, which is a practice of yoga, svadhyaya. We're down to about 20 more seconds here. Continue that even flow of breathing. Now, very gently, slowly transition back onto your belly. And let's slowly make our way back to Sphinx pose for 3 breaths. Set your forearms to the floor again, lifting your chest, knees close together, big toes stretching back. Notice what you feel here. And let's take our time transitioning to side 2. You may want to have your block or pillow for your head just off to the left side of your head to start. Then slide your left arm out to the left side with a palm face down, palm in line with your shoulder. Place your right hand on the ground beside your right shoulder and begin to press the floor away with it, slowly rolling over onto your left hip. Placing the left side of your head on that pillow or block if you're using one. And then take a moment before you go any deeper to walk your left shoulder blade further down your back ribs, lengthening the left side of your neck. And then be present with what your body is communicating to you here. Notice if the amount of intensity needs to be different here than on your right side. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, some of you might recognize the mantra that's being sung in the background right now, Asatoma. It's an invocation for clarity, calling to come out of the darkness and into the light, an invocation for truth, and the shedding of false beliefs, illusions. As we open up our bodies and unravel any unneeded tension, some, maybe an effect of mental tension or stress. Welcome deeper breaths. Welcome openness of body and mind. Physical practice preparing us to sit with our minds later in meditation. Feel into how your body is breathing here now. You've got just about 25 more seconds in this pose. And then slowly start to come back to your stomach one more time in Sphinx pose, placing your forearms in front, elbows under the shoulders as you lift your chest, stretching your legs back as you ground your pubic bone. 3 deep breaths. Sense the effects of that asana, that physical pose. And let's press the hands alongside your floating ribs on the floor to gently lift up again onto hands and knees. We'll move into a spinal twist here, sort of a counterbalancing posture to what we just did, called thread the needle. So have your knees again a couple inches behind your hips, wrists just beneath your shoulders. Have a blocker pillow within reachable distance just in case you might use it. Then inhale, raise your right arm up towards the sky. Take a couple more breaths here, spreading your wings. Open up across the upper back, lengthen the neck, open up across the chest. And then when you're ready, as you exhale, thread the right arm underneath your left bent elbow on the ground, so the right palm is face up, and lower the right side of your skull all the way down. Now, if it does not comfortably rest on the ground, use however many props you need and use it as a pillow under the right side of your head. By flaring your left elbow towards the sky and pressing your left fingertips towards the upper left corner of your mat, find a sense of grounding here as you're rotating your rib cage without rotating your pelvis. You might imagine you're balancing a book across the lowest portion of your lower back, trying to keep your hips even to stabilize your sacrum. Now, I'm not going to set the timer on this one. Let's breathe for about 10 long cycles of breath. And let's finish one more deep breath on this side. Take your time pressing up to hands and knees again and come into a neutral tabletop position, taking 3 breaths here to just observe the aftermath of that one side of this pose. Not rushing to get to the next. And as you feel ready, raise your left arm up towards the sky and take maybe 3 breaths here, feeling the reach of your left fingertips, the broadening across your upper back, your chest. And when you're ready, use an exhale to thread your left arm underneath your right bent elbow, landing your left palm face up and the left side of your head all the way down on the floor or on a prop as needed. Level out your hips as though you're balancing a book across the lowest part of your lower back. And as you flare your right elbow towards the moon, press your right fingertips on the ground towards the upper right corner of your mat. Notice any sensations your body is communicating to you with here. You can always back off if you feel like you've gone a bit too far in the twist, or keep pressing the right fingertips down and find a little more range if that's available. We've got about 7 more deep breaths here. And let's finish 1 more deep breath. Take your time to slowly rise back to hands and knees. Find more of a neutral spine here as we pause and observe again for 3 breaths. Is anything shifting for you mentally or physically at this point of your practice? And then begin to slide your legs out in front of you. We're going to come on down onto our backs, but before you come down to your back, please have your strap off to the side where you can reach for it when you're lying down, as well as a block or a pillow. And then come on down to your back. Let's bend the knees into the chest. We'll loosen up the hips just a little bit more as we give our lower backs a massage. So take hold of your bent knees with your hands. Relax your shoulders and tailbone on the ground. As you take a deep breath, circle your thighs wide apart or just comfortably wide apart. And then exhale, bring your knees close together again. And just like that, keep going. Inhale, thighs apart. Exhale, knees come together. And then switch directions, going to the pace of your breath like a mini vinyasa flow or breath-led movement. Switch directions again, and then feel free to play with it. You can have the knees going both in the same direction. Notice how that feels. Or create figure eights with the knees in the air. Go for about 8 more cycles of breath, just circling the legs as it's comfortable for you. A little self-massage here. Lubricating your hip joints. And then from here, please set your 2 feet onto the ground, separating your feet about as wide as your mat, at least wider than hips distance apart. Separate your knees just as wide apart as your feet here, and then let your arms come out to the sides so they're out of the way of your legs. Inhale, drop your knees both to the right to your capacity, like windshield wipers going the same direction. Exhale, drop your knees to the left. And that's the movement here, mini vinyasa flow. Inhale to one side, both knees. Exhale to the other, keep going. Several more breaths. Feet stay on the floor, feel your pelvis rocking left and right, giving your glutes perhaps a massage. Finish one more cycle of breath in this movement. Now keep your feet where they are, wider than hips width. Keep the knees separated just as wide as your feet. Then gently drop both knees to the right and keep them there for a few breaths. While here, point your left knee down the center line of your mat. You may have to slide the left heel further out to the left or closer to your left glute, giving the top of your left thigh a bit of a stretch as we open up into your psoas, that crisscross muscle that goes into the front of the hip creases and into the lower back. So here we're focusing on the left side of the psoas. If you're not feeling much happening, you could add picking up your right foot and crossing your right ankle to land just above your left knee onto your left thigh, encouraging the top of your left thigh to lengthen forward. Take about 5 more breaths in this position. You might also open up the sides of your torso by raising your arms overhead, bending your elbows to frame your head and catching hold of opposite elbows as you drop your arms behind you. Feel into the pacing of your breath, nice and slow, mindful breathing. The end of this exhalation, let's step the feet to that original position of wider than hips distance on the mat. Separate the knees again as wide apart as your feet, arms out of the way. Then slowly drop both of your knees to your left side. Once there, point your right knee down the midline of your mat, adjusting your right foot as you need. And then feel into what's present here as you come into side 2. Might be different. Maybe you stay here, or if you're needing more sensation to open up the right side of your psoas, pick up your left foot, cross your left ankle onto your right thigh, just above the knee. Feel into your breathing and maybe explore raising the arms overhead. And if you did so on the first side, switch the elbow that you're holding on top and let the arms fall back. 4 more deep breaths here. One more deep breath. And then gently step the feet again to that position of wider than hips width, knees just as wide apart as the feet. And then from there, drop your knees together so they touch. So feet are apart on the floor, knees are together. Rest your hands at the front creases of your hips. Now imagine you could breathe into that lowest part of your belly where your palms are warming up. About 4 more breaths there. From here, please separate your feet hips width apart on the floor. Separate the knees hips width as well. Then bend your right knee into your chest. Catch hold of your right shin or thigh. Breath by breath, maybe hugging the right thigh closer to the right side of your rib cage. Now, if your groins and hamstrings feel okay with it, slide your left leg forward onto the ground. This pose is called wind relieving pose. So if you ever need to relieve wind, you can give this a try. Apanasana in Sanskrit. Circle out the right foot, both directions. Point and flex the right foot. Breathe. Now use your right hand and either hold your right outer calf or bring the right elbow to the inside of your right thigh. Cross the forearm in front of your right shin and catch your outer foot. Place your left palm onto the top of your left thigh and press it down. Make sure the back of your left hip continues to touch the ground as you splay open your right thigh like happy baby pose with one leg. Lifting the sole of your right foot to face the sky. Now that strap is right there, and if you find that it feels a bit cumbersome to use your hand, then go ahead and step the ball of your right foot into the strap and use the strap as an extension of your right arm. You can nudge your inner right thigh open with your right elbow. As the sole of your right foot faces the sky, draw your right knee towards the earth. Keep pressing the back of your left hip onto the ground as we broaden across your lower back, taking 3 more breaths. And then from here, if you have a strap around your right foot, go ahead and put the strap aside again. Bend your right knee towards your chest and slide your pelvis about 4 inches towards the right edge of your mat. Then open your right arm out to the right on the floor. Ground your right shoulder, turn your gaze past it. Use your left hand to help you twist to your left side, crossing your right thigh over your body, breath by breath. Go only as far into your twist as you can feel your right shoulder remain on the ground. And if you're seeking to feel a little more release in your lower back here, try placing your left hand onto your right outer hip. And as you exhale, gently press your right outer hip away from your torso and towards the front edge of your mat. Let's take about 3 more deep breaths in this twist. Trace this exhalation to the bottom and then slowly unravel back to center. Bring your pelvis to the middle of your mat and step your right foot on the floor. Bend your left knee into your chest, hugging your thigh or shin. Breath by breath, perhaps explore bringing the left thigh to the outside of your left ribs. Notice if it's available for you to slide the right leg forward onto the ground or not. Just showing you your options to explore. And then let's give the left foot some circles at the ankle. Breathe in deeply. Breathe out just as slowly. Point and flex your left toes. Wind relieving pose, Apanasana. Now let's prepare for that half happy baby position. Place your right palm onto the top of your right thigh with the right leg straight on the ground. Ground the back of your right hip. And then the left arm can hold, or the left hand can hold the outside of your left calf, or bring the arm inside of the left leg and catch your outer foot, or use your strap and loop it around the ball of your left foot so that you can keep the shoulders on the ground easily. Splaying your left thigh to the outside of your left shoulder. Turn the sole of your left foot to face the sky. Notice what sensations shift, arise, or wane. Just paying attention to what's here now. Last 3 breaths. And then let's put the strap aside. If you're using it, please bend your left knee towards your chest and slide your pelvis about 4 inches towards the left edge of your mat. Slide your left arm out to the left side, grounding the shoulder as you might look past it. With the help of your right hand on your outer left thigh, begin to twist slowly to your right side, taking deep breaths. And if you're needing more sensation of releasing the lower back, place your right hand onto your left outer hip and gently press your left outer hip away from your torso towards the front edge of your mat. Let's take about 3 more full breaths here. Trace this breath to the very bottom. And then slowly come onto your back. Set your 2 feet on the ground, about hips width apart, bending your knees towards the sky. Center your pelvis on the mat. And then reach for your block or pillow. And let's prepare for a supported shoulder stand. Now, some of you might want to get in a regular shoulder stand if you usually practice that and have no neck or shoulder injuries. If so, go ahead, maybe 10 breaths. Otherwise, press your feet down, lift your pelvis up, and slide your block or pillow across your mat just beneath the flat part of your lower back, your sacrum. Adjust it so that it doesn't feel too high up towards your rib cage nor too far down towards the bottom of your glutes, but where you feel stably supported to completely rest on that prop and can relax. Now you have the option of staying in supported bridge pose, which is where we are now with feet on the ground. Otherwise, lift a leg up and then the other. You don't have to have your legs completely straight. Let them be as relaxed as possible here as you're stimulating your circulation towards your digestive organs, towards your heart, towards your brain. Breathe into the stomach and try to sustain your exhale a little bit longer than your inhale. So you might inhale into the belly for a count of 5 and exhale for a count of 7. Abdominal breathing is another way to help stimulate digestion, as well as activate the parasympathetic response, the relaxation response of your nervous system. We're doing that also by lengthening your out breath. Let's take about 5 more breaths in your inversion, your upside down pose. Take your time here to begin stepping one foot down and then the other. Pressing your feet into the ground to lift your pelvis and slide the block or prop away. Gently lowering your spine, draw your bent knees into your chest, and literally give yourself a genuine hug. You made it all the way through this practice, and now we get to be still and completely rest. Take a deep breath in as you're squeezing in. Hold the breath at the top. Maybe try to sip in a little bit more. As you open your mouth, release any sound and start to make your way into a comfortable corpse pose. You may want to use a pillow under your head. You might want to use a rolled up blanket across your mat underneath the backs of your knees. As you extend the legs out and splay the feet open, wider than hips distance. Now I'm going to be playing the singing bowls during Savasana, which will require me to change my audio settings here. So in order for you to hear better, you may want to turn up the volume on your device that you're streaming with, because it also makes my voice lower. So we'll be in Shavasana for about 5 minutes. We'll start with some guided relaxation there. And then we'll be in meditation before journaling. So as you're setting up for Shavasana, you might want to have your journaling materials off to the side. Everything ready for you when you come out of corpse pose. And then really take loving care in how you're setting yourself up here. Feel your 2 shoulders evenly descending so that your heart space feels wide open. Allow your 2 hips to evenly descend so your legs can be comfortable to just splay. And as you find your comfortable position of stillness, close your eyes and allow yourself to be fully present as you begin to release all effort, even in your breath. Guide us momentarily into a brief body scan in which we highlight certain areas of the body. First, begin by feeling where you sense your breath, locating that area in your body. Without any need to alter the way you're breathing, sense the gentle movement of your natural breath. And then gently land your awareness at your skull, allowing it to be fully supported by the surface beneath it. Relaxing your scalp, softening your eyes, the muscles around them, unclenching your jaw, softening your tongue. In your mind's eye, see your throat. Feel your neck fully relaxed. Sensing your left arm down to your left palm, allowing your fingers to relax. Bring your awareness to your right arm, down to your right palm, softening your right fingertips. And then allow your inner gaze to land at your pelvis, relaxing your belly, relaxing your lower back and glutes. Softening down your right leg, all the way down to your right foot. Soften the sole of your right foot. Land your attention onto your left leg, traveling down to your left foot. Soften the sole of your left foot. And for the next 2 minutes here in silence, allow yourself, your whole being, to marinate in the sweetness of surrendering to a state of being. As you remain still, aware, present, I invite you to notice the first word that comes to mind, or the first phrase that comes to mind when you ask your own inner being this question: what is my intention for this winter season? For example, what am I creating? What am I calling into my life this winter season? Rather than mentally constructing the answer, allow a minute here for any thoughts, images, words to arise. And as you continue to feel your body breathe naturally, ask your inner being one more question. Now, in order to manifest that intention you just arrived at, what old patterns, what old habits may need to be let go of? What do I need to let go of to create space for the new? Again, allow a minute for whatever thoughts, images, feelings to arise. As you gently deepen your breath, perhaps keeping your eyes closed so that you're still connecting inward, please begin to turn your head, gently moving your neck. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, ease into a gentle stretch. Waking your body up out of stillness, you might gather your knees into your chest and slowly roll over to your right side. Find your own route of least resistance to make your way up, coming into a comfortable seat with paper and pen. If you have a candle nearby, you might set that in front of you. And so take a moment here to write one thing that you may be intending to release in order to welcome what you're intending to call in for the new season. You might tear off a piece of that paper, write down that one thing, and if your candle is big enough, you can stick it right into the flame and let it dissolve. Otherwise, you can crumple it up and throw it in the trash, but finding some physical way to begin releasing it. Let's take a minute for that. And for the last part of our practice tonight, I'd like to invite you into a free flow state of writing. I'll set the timer for 2 minutes. And in those 2 minutes, I invite you to write from your intuition or your inner knowing without planning or revising grammar, just allowing whatever stream of thoughts to be put onto paper. Perhaps you begin with the words dear and insert your name, a letter to yourself from your inner being. So pen in hand, 2 minutes, timer is set, go. Now, if you need to write more than this time, please feel free to continue. Otherwise, your 2 minutes are up. You could continue this practice on your own if you have time as well. Let's close. Bring your hands to meet at your heart. This gesture of bringing it all together. Mind, body, breath, spirit, community. Gratitude as we bring the palms to meet at the heart and bow in. What can you appreciate as you sit here now? And together, let's close the practice, sending the vibration of gratitude into our beings, out into each other, and into the universe. Just chanting one Om. Empty this breath. Take a deep inhale. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.